Hey everyone, welcome back. In this series, we are building a BMI and a unit converter desktop app using Rust and egui. I'm sorry, I'm going to bore you with some information, but it is very necessary to understand what does egui stands for and why we are using egui. By the end of this video, you will have a real native desktop window open on your machine written in Rust. Let's get started. So, what is egui? Before we write any code, let me explain what we are working on. egui is a GUI library for Rust. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. It is what lets you build windows, buttons, sliders, and text on screen. So whatever you are seeing currently on my system is a GUI. egui is an immediate mode that means every frame your program redraws the entire UI from scratch based on the current data in your program. There are no callbacks, no event listeners, no hidden framework magic. You describe what the screen should look like right now, and egui draws it. This is the whole model. We are going to use eframe, which stands on top of egui and handles opening a native window for us. Think of egui as a drawing library and eframe as a Windows manager. So, not to bore you anymore, let's start with some code. So what we do, we used Cargo to create our new app called BMI converter, and we press enter. So now we are into our, we have created a new project, we go into our BMI converter. How does the folder structure look like? You have a space called main.rs and you have git ignore and cargo.toml. Now Cargo, as you all know, it's a Rust build tool and package manager. New basically allows us to create a new project, and the BMI converter is the name of the project. Now, the most important file that we're going to look today is the Cargo.toml, because this will define how dependencies we are going to look like we are going to import. So I hope you have seen my previous video, so you understand package. It's a section header. Everything below it describes the project, like for example the name, the version, and the edition. We will move to the dependencies. The dependencies we need here for today's video is called eframe, because eframe is a library which is at currently version at 0.28. So it is important that you specify the same version I am using, otherwise you have a version mismatch, because sometimes like the upper version have a different formats, different syntaxes, and which can cause an issue. So if we face this issue kind of during that development, I was trying to explain you as much as possible why we have this issue. Okay, now we have done this part. We save our file, we go to main.rs. In main.rs you can already see like the function main hello world. The first thing we need to do is few imports. What kind of imports do we need? So we need to use eframe ::egui, and we put a semicolon. Then we use eframe GUI. We don't need to use everything. This is from the the IntelliSense. We need to use color 32. We need to use rich text. We need to use slider, and we need to use UI. So these are the things which will maybe we use in the later part of the video, but it is not required right now. So we use slider, UI. We also don't need text edit, so we can delete it for now. Okay, so these are the few things we are going to use. Now, important thing is that the color 32 library is a color type. Represent a color as 4 bytes: red, green, blue, alpha. Used for coloring text and shape. Rich text, a text wrapper that let us change size, color, and style. Instead of plain unstyled text, we can make it big, bold, and specific color. The slider, which is the third library I imported, is a draggable input widget. The user drags it on the numeric value to change the numeric value. And the UI, the type of drawing context egui passes to our layout code. We call methods on EUI to add widget on the screen. Okay, so now we are going to go to the next. So we will use the tab enum. So we use, and I will always walk through the code once I write it. So first I will basically focus on writing the code, and as soon as I'm done, I will do a walkthrough. So we don't need this. We are going to use the derive one. So So what we do is that we don't need this, we need this, we use derive, and instead of this we derive partial equal to. Yes, perfect. Now we have to create a enum tab, and we define BMI. So as I told you, in this particular video series, which is a 4 video, we will have 4 things. We will have BMI, we will have weight, height, I want capital H, height, and temperature. So this defines our tab. Now code walkthrough. Enum basically short for enumeration, a type that can be exactly one of several name variants, perfect for a fixed set of options like which the tab is active. Tab, the name, basically what we will choose from, BMI, weight, height and temperature, the 4 possible variant. At any moment the active tab is one of those. Nothing else is possible, which makes the code very safe. And what is the hash derived partial equal to? An attribute. Extra instruction to the compiler automatically generates the code to the compare the two tabs value. We need this in egui tab selector. So basically to check the equality in which tab we are currently in. Now we will create the app. So how does our app should look like? Now it should be something like this. Tab will be form of tab. Then the weight, we can name the weight like weight, or I would prefer to name it BMI weight in kg, and we will move it to F64. And then BMI, same thing here, Control C, Control V, kg, F64. Currently we just need 3. We won't take temperature. It will be added once we require it later on. And to explain you, basically structure a custom data type, which lets you basically create a custom data type. App, the name we choose. Tab, basically a field of the tab enum which we created above. F64 is basically a floating 64 pointing number, and similarly we did the same for height. Now we will create a default trait. These are very important, so if you don't understand trait, please go to my trait videos to explain to understand the traits. Otherwise I'm going to explain the code walkthrough what we are doing here and for now a bit later on. So I need this. So basically we are going a default for tape. So function default self. This is tab BMI, and then 70 and 1.75. So one thing which I did wrong is height is never in kg, it should be centimeter. So we write centimeter here, and then we assign it with 175. That's okay. So basically these are default values. I hope this is self-explanatory. If you still have question, you can always write in the comment section. So this trait is nothing but to set it for the default values. Now we write the most important part. We have to write the function main. Here the function main, the return value should be eframe this. And now we don't need this, so we kind of save this out. And now we delete this, and we start by writing let options equal to native options. Then we can have we need a viewport, so we will have this. We don't need this kind of thing. So it sometimes gives you a lot of things, so you can use this but use it as you want. So basically we know native options, we will use viewport RT, which is basically egui. I think it should be colon, or it should be egui, and then colon viewport. Builder should be capital, builder colon default with title being water. Sorry, this I wanted to take, and I still don't want dot build. What I want is with we have title the white title with comma inner size 400 300 is okay, and we want one more with resizable equal to true because you should be able to resize the window. And then the last thing we need is dot default. Dot default. I did forgot a comma, right? Yes, here should be a comma, and then we are here, and then we do dot dot. Yes, this is what we need to do. And then we don't need this, but we should close out this. Yes. So basically this close our iframe, right? This shouldn't close our iframe. I think I missed somewhere a bracket. The bracket should be here, and this closes this. Perfect. And this should be close this. No, this is perfect. So we have defined this thing. I will explain you in a bit. So we run native BMI converter options, and then box cc box. So what we do is, one thing we need to do is we have to be a bit careful here, because once we write cc we have to write okay, and then box should be new app default this, and this closes here, and I think I need one more then. Sorry, I need to check. So this is fine, and now this is everything is okay. So I think we have closed everything. Yes, everything is fine. Now let's go through the code. Okay, so first thing, we wrote the iframe result. Every Rust program starts from main. Iframe result means that this function returns a result from iframe, which tells us whether the window opened successfully or not. The second line we wrote was let options iframe native options. This let us declare a variable. Native options is an iframe struct that configure how the window should looks and behave. Viewport egui viewport builder default. The viewport field controls the window itself. We start with a default viewport builder and change method to it. The first method we changed was with title. Basically, it lets you set the title. The second one is inner size. Set the starting size of the window, which is 420 into 520. And the last one is resizable. That means which allows us to resize the window by dragging their edges. Then dot dot default. This is basically the struct update syntax. Two dot means for any native options field we have not explicitly set use the default values. Basically, it's a convenient method. Then iframe non-native. This opens the box and start the event loop. Once this runs, iframe takes control and calls our update function repeatedly to draw the UI. Now, the last one is a box function, a closure, an anonymous function that iframe cells calls once the startup to create our app. Box new put it on the heap. App default create the initial state using the default implementation that we wrote above. Now, we need to define the update method because it should be getting called. To write the update method, we write implementation iframe app for app function update. We take the context, we read the mutable, we do the central panel default UI, and this is correct. Now we need to write UI dot heading hello from egui, and then we should close this out. Is I'm missing something? egui. Yes, this should be correct. This is correct. This is correct. Now we are done. So remember, these brackets can be sometimes confusing, so you can always take help or use basically IntelliSense. Now to explain it a bit, so basically we are implementing the iframe app for our struct. This is what a iframe requires, it needs a type that has an update function so it knows how to draw in it. Now, called by eframe every frame. So basically the update function is called by eframe every frame as we told, so it can reach and write the changed state. CTX is a egui context to create panels. Underscore frame has an underscore prefix because we are not using it right now. The second line, which is basically egui central panel, fills the entire window. Show draws it and runs the closure UI to place the widgets inside it. The UI parameter is how we are adding anything to the screen. Now, UI heading, hello from GUI, draws a large heading text. This is just a placeholder so we can confirm that the window is open. We will replace this with a real UI in the next videos. Now basically we can switch to our terminal and we clear it and we do cargo run. So cargo run will basically try to download everything which you have defined inside cargo.toml. It will download the crates, it will build the program. As you can see, it will take some time, but it should be okay. Now, as soon as it complete, the thing is that you should see a very small window with like hello GUI from the text. Okay, so it says that there is some issue. So partial equality we have not defined and not used. We should have imported the partial equality, which we have not done, and unused by default, but that is fine. This is a warning. The only error we have is we haven't done, have used the partial equality. The question is, one thing which I would like to show here you is an important extension called Rust Analyzer. Rust. So you see what Rust extension we have here. And this is the extension you should have installed. It is really handy. It is basically the intelligence of everything, and it also tells you that what is installed and what is not installed. So hopefully it did get installed now. Let me see if it does or not. So currently you see it is analyzing our project. Once basically it analyzed our project, it will start giving us help. So you can see all the red lines here. So you see this box, you click this, convert import config attribute, generate implementation for tab. We don't need to do that. Okay, so it says hash drive, we need to use P capital. This was the problem, that was the issue. We control C, we do everything error, fine. Now we can clear it out. So you know the issue was that our P was small. We do cargo run again. It says there is an issue. What is the issue? The cap struct we used to use have small s. So you can see like this is the one which is basically the intelligent. So don't use capital S, use small s. And we do a clear again. And we do cargo run and everything is finished. Oh my god, we have thread cause unbinding. Okay, this issue will take some time to solve. So basically our program crashed. So we need to look at the issue, and looking at it seems like I know there's an issue with the crate. So let's update the crate version to 0.31 and we can try to run again. And let's see what happens. Okay, so it runs. So you can see it says hello from GUI. Perfect. So we know that now our first video works, and then what we will do is that